Hello, and welcome back to part 3 of the iRobot review. So, picking up where I left off, we're in this weird place. We're in a place where it's humans versus the computer. We as humans, and a lot of people ain't even recognizing this is happening, but there is a great divide where right now it is a fight that seemingly what's happening, and this is something that society has been pretty much doing for a while now. The way Satan works is he always comes in with a solution for something, but he does it so subtly that he'll introduce it as a what? Breadcrumb. Hansel and Gretel. He'll introduce it as a breadcrumb, and then it'll become a little thing, that'll become a little bigger thing, that'll become a little bigger thing, that'll become a little bigger thing, and he'll always make it sound like it's a good solution for your problem. Yes? Anybody notice that way back in about 10 years ago, people were talking about the fact that people were going to start being chipped at their jobs, and they could use these chips to open doors and so on and so forth. This was actually, look it up, there are news reports dating back to like almost 10 years ago, 2013-14, talking about jobs wanting to change their key cards over to an injected thing into a person's hand, that they could swipe their hand over an entry door, so on and so forth. These were little mild little things that were introducing the option of getting certain chips. I saw a film around that same time that talked about what would happen within a time period where people were going to start getting chips, but this chip was going to be able to identify everything that was about you. It was going to tell you whether what you ate, what you didn't eat, which was good in your cholesterol, all these kinds of things. And they did a skit where they were talking about a guy was trying to order a pizza, and the person was talking about your pizza's going to be like $50 because technically you're not supposed to eat it because the person had high cholesterol, and because of that, that was a detriment to them. And the guy's like, how do you know all of this? Because it's on your chip. Over time, we have slowly been introduced to more technological things, AI things, things in relation to these things. Then all of a sudden, our society shuts down. When our society shuts down, we're introduced to stay-at-home orders, things that say that we should be in our homes. Then we start seeing things that make us more comfortable with being at home. Uber Eats has a rise in sales. Amazon, Instacart has a rise in sales. Amazon buys out Whole Foods. Um, Amazon is a major shipping and transportation delivery service, and they have Instacart. Then you have all of these kinds of things happening with Facebook introducing Meta. Meta now has the VR set. The VR set is a virtual reality where you don't even have to leave your home to do anything. Virtual reality AI. And then within the past 6 months, they've introduced us to AI, which AI has taken over our ability. Is like, now we got open AI, chat GPT, all of these things, new things coming out, stable diffusion, all of these things that are coming up that are going to make digital renditions. And literally right after, and nobody's paying attention to this fact, that we just came out of a writer strike that went from June all the way through darn near to December. And they've introduced all of these new AI technologies that could literally steal artists' jobs, because all you have to do is speak into this dictation software that will create imagery, video, all of these kinds of things that could replace artists. And there are even applications that can create music without you having to um, go into the studio anymore to develop it. You just tell the AI and it'll develop the song for you. What genre you want it in? You want it in country? They create it in country. You want it in this way? Be created in that way. Whichever way in which you want it, you want it. I remember there was a music video that came out when Fergie was still with the Black Eyed Peas. Go back and look for it. It's Will I Am and Fergie, and I forget what the name of the video is. You're going to have to look it up. But Fergie was freaking out because she was talking about the fact that they were going to replace people with holograms. And she freaked out, ran out, because the whole song, the whole beginning skit was talking about the fact that it wasn't, she was saying, that's not us, that's not us, that's not, basically stating that the audio was not genuinely recorded. It was a holographic track that was created by AI generated software. And this was over 10 years ago. AI, it is a battle between reality and fiction right now. It is a literal battle between people that are real and generated software. Nobody's going to want to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in order to create with physical people, hiring crews, hiring teams, all of this kind of stuff. When you could pick up your phone and dictate to a system that, as long as it has the capacity to make the length of the amount, all you have to pay is maybe the premium value of whatever the software is in order to get the fullest extent of the ability to use said software. And you could darn near create an entire movie without even going to the studio. Who's going to pay artists, creatives, teams, gimbal operators, lighting specialists, all these kinds of people to do CGI and tech, when all you have to do is pay for a system that can do that? The only issue right now is the fact that there are glitches, and the glitches will be that the eyes will be too big. Maybe it'll screw up hands, legs, all this kind of stuff. These are the things, these glitches are the only reason that if they can figure out how to get rid of those glitches, people screwed. I'm telling you, it's screwed. On top of this, as I was stating, that, and this intertwines in this as well, the fact that the Battle of A.I was lost due to the fact that people were taking the offerings that were supposed to go to God, and they were stealing and or sacrificing it to idols. Catch that. This AI can literally become a form of idolatry. Okay? Follow it. That when you use this AI, it will become a form of idolatry because people will stop using the God-given creativity that is ingenuine to who they are. Okay? Therefore, sacrificing and or following the crowd into the fullness of the idolatry. It is the people that make the choice not to bow. Therefore, the agent Skinner asking and inquiring questions as to what's going on. He's interrogating the robot to ask the question, why were you there? What were you doing? And why were you over the body? Okay? Now, coming back to what I had been saying previously, that if you look at the robot is like Moses. Moses was the one that took off running. He's the one that left, but they actually never caught Moses. Moses left long enough that they didn't notice or recognize who did it. So because they didn't know particularly that it was him that did it, over time, I think Moses left for, I don't know where it was, 10, 15 years he was gone. But with that being said, that the robot is inquiring him, and the detective has his name is Sully, that he knows the 3 laws. Each robot was built to follow 3-lawed protocol. In society, there are laws that are supposed to be being made even right now in order to protect creative artists and their creativity from being attacked because of the generation of AI. Therefore, certain things, for instance, deep fakes are not allowed at this particular point in time, because deep fakes are too dangerous, that they can create imagery, video, so on and so forth, to create whatever it is that can imitate celebrities, imitate all of this. I know this to be true because there was an application, and even I got caught up in this application called Reface a couple years ago, where you could take video footage that was of celebrities or what have you and switch faces out. You could switch faces and change it, whether you changed it to your face. I saw a celebrity, it would be a video of a celebrity where they switched the face of the celebrity to be another celebrity's face. And then you have the deep fakes, which literally are videos that people would create content and just shift their own face and replace it with a celebrity's face, which they were questioning that it could cause anything could be faked, whether it would be audio, video. And I remember I was looking at something the other several months back. They were showing Simon Cowell, where he was talking about he couldn't talk. I don't know if I believe that he couldn't talk at the time, because they wanted to show you how the audio generated AI could create his voice and make it sound identical to him on audio. But I think that they were doing that because they could pay him to do that. But yeah, you can say whatever you want to say. Anyway. But these laws are supposed to be created in order to protect creative artists, to protect their identity and their intellectual property and their image. Because people have been doing deep fakes where they have been using celebrity images. So these are things that are supposed to be done in order to protect. But at the same time, Tyler Perry just canceled a build of a completely new studio because of the fact that this new Soar AI that can create video footage of 30-second videos that could in time expand to full-length featurettes. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I guarantee you they're probably going to try to roll this out quickly in order to be able to use that. Because think about music videos that have CGI in the background. They're going to want to use that kind of stuff, which is going to put a whole lot of people out of business that was sitting up there trying to figure out how to do CGI and paying people out the wazoo thousands of dollars in order to do their CGI in the back of their footage for films and movies. Because they can use this as the background film footage in movies if all they have to do is dictate to the store, this is what we're going to do. You see how that works? So they have to put in and instate protocols. Even here on YouTube, they've instated protocols that now they have to put a notice saying, was any part of this video AI generated? In order to let people know part of this was faked. You see how that works? But these are protocols or laws that have been instated in order to protect artists, creatives, so on and so forth from their things being stolen. Now, Skinner provokes the robot to anger. Skinner tells him he can feel the emotion of his anger. Now, robots are not supposed to be able to feel any emotions. If you look at any video footage, I remember years ago there was a video footage of Joe Rogan And I don't remember whether he was interviewing a robot or he was talking about robots, because Joe Rogan used to be a host of a television show that used to come on one of them Charger or one of those stations on cable TV, that he was talking about how robots have no feelings, including where they were talking, I think even when Tony Robbins uh, was interviewing the AI robot. He was asking him about his feelings, and the robot made the point of saying that feelings were useless or something like that to human beings. Which, to me, if you're interviewing a robot and it says that, why are you interviewing a robot anyway? He tells Skinner that he was built with the ability to feel and have emotions. Skinner tells him he can't feel because robots can't have emotions unless the system stimulates the program of what it feels like to feel feelings. Otherwise, they can't feel. Skinner is put out, and when the boss of ASR Corp comes in, he's angry that they are interrogating his robot. They express why, and he says the robot can't kill because only humans are capable of murder. They agree that the robot will be decommissioned and reset as a fault, basically being scheduled to be destroyed. Okay? Understand this. Now, God, you want me to go there? Jesus Christ. I'm only going to say it like this. There's been certain cases, circumstances, and situations that have occurred over time where we have seen, and there are even programs that dictate about the deaths of people in high power positions, places, and scenarios where the people they ended up dying, but the person that did the killing ended up disappearing. You never found out what happened to them, or so on and so forth. Now, we've seen movies that state, but because it was a movie, nobody believed it, that potentially a lot of these people that were set up for having killed these folks turned around and were killed themselves because they couldn't afford for those people to still be walking around, because the potential of the truth or whatever that was would come out. See how that works? Just like this robot was being told or being stated to be set for decommission, therefore destroyed. I'm going to leave that there. With that being said, Spooner feels off. He goes for a drink with his boss and he can't let it go. Something is off. His boss says, "You won. The robot is being destroyed. What else do you want?" His boss calls him the perfect guy. And he says, "You're right. I am the perfect guy. But why am I the perfect guy?" Meaning, he was pulled in on this case because he was perfect for it. But why was he particularly perfect for it? What about his suspicion or inquiry about the suspicion of this situation made him perfect for this in particular case? So, with that being said, he needs answers. Why was this particular robot built to have emotion? So he goes to the doctor's house and he starts to look around. Ever notice when a person begins to look around and or talk too much? I've heard this even with the ministers that I listen to. Whenever they start to expose certain in particular things about certain things that they've recognized, noticed, or just verbally expressing what they understand, they've had videos go off, channels pulled down, things just disappearing off of their channels because of the fact that maybe they were talking too much. For some reason, the video went missing. I've even had on my channel a video disappear, reappear, disappear again. It's like, oh, you can see it, but nobody else can see it. I posted things on Facebook and they were like, oh, this can be only seen by you. It can't be seen by anybody else. I was like, then what? What? So he goes to the doctor's house and goes into the house with his badge. He gets checked in through the keypad. He goes to check out, and the computer changes the demolition date time from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., meaning in a matter of minutes instead of a matter of hours. So when he checked into the building itself switched times. So the cat, he finds the cat in this man's office, but he recognizes the man hasn't slept in that office. It was a pallet on the floor somewhere, so the doctor wasn't sleeping there. Therefore, he goes and he looks, and there's a fatal flaw in the system, because this is what the guy was doing the research for. And in this video, he was recording evidence in order for there to be some form of evidence to show that in the case something happened to him, there would be some form of evidence. In some cases, there are certain things that have been going on behind closed doors that there has been evidence being collected by people, some of you in relation to your partners. Evidence has been being collected on both sides. And what has been the fight has been whether the truth will come out. I remember I was taking business law back in college, and the lawyer said it's not about whether the information is true, it's about who can tell the best story. So proof is necessary. But think about AI time framing. If you're living in a time frame of AI, you can almost physically generate something that is a false evidence that appears real at any particular point in time of anything about anyone, and they just need people to see it. And it's almost like if you see something, you could see something in front of your eyes, but if you are told something while you're looking at something, you will think, even especially if the footage isn't clear enough, if it tells you this is happening in front of you, because you can't see clearly whether it is or it isn't, it just is just enough for you to see it, you'll believe what you heard over what you saw. And the Lord just put that on my heart to say that. And he hears the demolition robot coming outside while he was listening and watching the video. He grabs the cat and barely makes it out the back window without getting killed in the midst of the demo. So he goes to the Dr. Landing's assistant's office or home, and he was telling him how he had had a bad day and inquired the fact about there's a ghost in the machine. Okay? I need you to really pay attention to that, because of the fact that this AI stuff that they have been setting up for the people. Think about this. There are things inside of those systems that are fail safes. And you know how I know that they are fail safes? I've used that AI system myself. Just testing it out, playing around with it. The very same images that I use, that you see me use, I use them all in the word of the Lord for 2024. All of those images were done by AI. But in that, I recognize certain things. If you use certain phrases, formats, catchphrases, or any particular thing, the system will not create what you ask for. It'll give you back an error message saying that we cannot create this content. But I've seen other people create content that was controversial, even content that gave into Black Lives Matter movements, LGBTQ movements, and it was very controversial content. So let me tell you, there's a potential that there's a ghost in the system. Because it'll create certain things, but it won't create other things, meaning it has an understanding, meaning the system in itself has an understanding of what it will and will not create. I'm just throw that out there. Anyway, Ghost within the Machine. Where was I? So he asks to find the ghost in the machine, but he was nearly killed. So Dr. Landing, who is now not sleeping at home, he starts talking about how Sully and the bot doesn't have to follow the 3 laws. She thinks he's crazy by saying that that particular robot does not have to follow the 3 laws. He excuses Landing may have been watching. She couldn't see it. He's telling her that the robot may have a fatal flaw. She's convinced that it's safe and can't be told otherwise. A lot of people think these AI systems are safe. Oh, it's a good alternative. It's a good thing to have these AI. We can use this. But what is the alternative? This could take away people's jobs, take away people's livelihoods, take away people in creative industries. This could literally collapse certain industries and certain people's ability to have jobs, and how it protects people's jobs and positions. Right now, especially if you're in a creative field, especially with the fact that we just literally came out of a writer's strike. And catch that, it was a writer's strike. This therefore affected people in Hollywood being able to get jobs, work on films, work on sets, work in movies, television shows, new episodes of anything being able to come out. But think about that. All of these people's jobs were halted due to a writer's strikes. But what would happen if the AI caused a halt? Is anybody thinking about this? Anybody? And the fact that, remember, AI's battle was being given over to idols. These jobs, these position is being given over to what? Machines that can what? Dictate, tell you, and or create certain things. And I'm telling you right now, if you think I'm lying, before God, I have 100% belief that this AI stuff, they've been testing it. Just because they releasing it and rolling it out now, don't mean they wasn't testing it out on people in news, in all of this kind of stuff over the past years. You think they didn't test it out? Do you know that the internet was tested in the military for several years before they gave it to the public? So why do you think that before they give you this SOAR AI that just popped up out of nowhere all of a sudden, that they're now not have not tested this in Hollywood already, in films already, that it was already tested in other projects, but y'all didn't know that it was being tested. It possibly even was being tested on your own news channels. Do you think? I need you to think about that real hard. That was this machine not being tested previously already. So, with that being said, so it may have had a fatal flaw. He shows her a photo of herself with the doctor saying, because of how close you were to him, I would have thought that you would have understood this. He gets frustrated and he leaves. He has the dream again. Then he goes and visits his aunt. She has now won one of these robots, and he wants her to get rid of it. Okay, this is the one thing I want to say because I ain't got much time left here. Be cautious in how prevalent they want you to get these new things. Back when they were insistent that people get a particular jab, they were doing everything in their power to sell people. You know, they were telling inmates that they would give them free ramen if they took the jab. I lie to you not. It was all over the internet. They were talking about people. They were trying to do everything to manipulate people into taking certain things at that particular point in time. So when it comes down to this AI, they're going to do everything to pretty much bombard you with making you feel comfortable with using AI instead. Oh, you can use this instead. Oh, you're a blogger? You can use this to write your articles. You can train it to speak like you. I've heard people, literally been in a room with people that were talking about, oh, I got an online job where I get to train the computer into telling it how to operate and to remember people's voices or remember people this, that, and the other in order for the system to understand. And I'm getting paid all this money in order to set it up to take the position of a job. Now that the system has been trained, who needs